Martin Andrew, Technical Director at Singapore Badminton Association and also tutor in this Coach Education Level 3 course. Actually, the Level 3 is not a typical course where we talk about technique or tactic aspect of the game, but it goes a little bit deeper and with a lot of more reflection. At which stage of the coaching career would you recommend to take this course?
Probably the best candidates would be coaches that are working within a performance pathway, somewhere within the performance pathway. I think previous coaches that have got the most out of the course that have been more at the sharper end of that rather than at the grassroots level of a performance pathway or at the start of a performance pathway. But yeah, I would have it somewhere more towards where they're getting involved at the national junior pathway level with players.
Okay, and the first days of the course you took the lead, talking about topics such as talent development pathways and the importance of having such a pathway created. Why do you think that it's so important to have this pathway?
Really, it's making sure that we've got a structure within the pathway so that players aren't coming through by chance. Players are coming through in a manner that we know why they're coming through, why we're able to develop them the way we are. And I think it's quite important that we know that and we understand it. We need to identify players properly. We perhaps need to identify players that we're not already identifying. So therefore, if you look at that from the other perspective, it's what players are we missing at the moment that we could be having on within our pathway. So, for me, that's massively important that we start to identify the right players, but make sure we're not missing players that we're currently missing. And this is across the board. It's every country. Within the course, we've got a number of different pathways within the countries, and I think we've just got to evolve a lot of them, or in fact all of them have got to evolve to just become better at doing it. I don't think there's any one model out there that is a perfect model. There's always something that could be done better. So really the focus of this is about how we can make sure we can retain players, how we can gain players onto programs and pathways, but it's making sure we're identifying the right ones as well.
And you talk here about the importance of identifying, and there were actually two concepts, such as detection and identification. It may seem a little bit confusing or like sort of the same, but what are the main differences of these topics and how can a coach put them in practice?
Okay, so from a detection perspective, it's more detecting people or players that are not currently involved within a pathway. They may not even be involved in badminton at that stage. So what are we doing to actually detect people that could have a good level of ability in a hand-eye coordination sport like ours? The more identification stage is once they're already playing badminton, how do we actually identify them for the pathway from there? So, we're starting to look at what abilities they do have from a badminton perspective, so they'll already have some ability playing the sport, whereas detection is maybe coming into it where there's no actual involvement in the sport at the present time.
Okay, and getting into the course itself, we have here 13 participants, 9 different nationalities and backgrounds. How do you see the progress along the course of these contenders?
Yeah, it's good. It's good watching them develop over the week. It's good watching some light bulb moments come up. It's good watching them try to understand. So if you take my areas within the pathway and the talent ID side of things, it's interesting to see. Yeah, we don't do that, or we do that, and then they're just trying to piece it all together in seeing what they can go back and try to implement or bring in or propose to bring into their pathway that they might not already be doing. So that's quite an interesting one. I think some feel quite challenged by that because they wonder what role they have to play, and actually they underestimate what role they could play in that. But then as we get onto more of the learning side, we start to look at various ways of learning or communicating, and suddenly there's some, actually we can do this better. And some of the coaches, and these are some of the quite recognised coaches, and I think, geez, I don't do that. I'll do it this way, and if I was to do it that way, I might be able to get so much more out of it. And I think that's where we're coming from with this, to try to get people to maybe take a step out of themselves and look at what they do. And I think it's quite hard to do, but there's certainly some times here where some of the coaches here have been ex-players or not been ex-players, and they suddenly think, actually, I can do it that way, and I could be successful if I do it that way. But the big role of this is that actually they can take this back. It's not just them, it's that they can take it back to their associations and they can work together to actually improve their systems. So on this course we've got a number of examples where coaches have come in, and on previous courses we've had other coaches from their countries. So if we take one of the countries here, we're going to finish this course and we'd have had 3 people through from that country, and actually those 3 people are good candidates and they can go away and do something now within a structure where they haven't got a strength in this area. And so I think that's the power of the course, but it is about making sure that these guys can go away and start to use the knowledge that they're getting. It may be that they think, oh yeah, just don't do that, but they can go away and do it, and understanding that they can be much more than just a coach who is a very direct coach, and just understanding how the players they're working with might be learning.
Thank you very much.